Shot Young and Dundas Square in Toronto on this Wednesday. Good morning, Canada. This is BT. My name is Sid Cixero. Canadian Black history is something that isn't typically covered in schools, incredibly. So in honor of Black History Month, author Yolanda Marshall is here to highlight a prominent Black Canadian in history. We're doing it every week throughout the month of February. Yolanda, good to see you.
Good to see you again.
Let's dive into today's story. And like all of them you've been giving us, it's fascinating. We're going to highlight the story of Thornton and Lucy Blackburn. Who are they and why do we need to know their story?
Yes, so Thornton and Lucy Blackburn were self-emancipated abolitionists and prominent Black Canadians. They were active in anti-slavery and community activities. Thornton Blackburn and other prominent Black Torontonians protested the unspoken racial discrimination against African Americans seeking to become naturalized Canadians. They were the first to offer donations to build the Little Trinity Anglican Church, which is now the oldest surviving church in Toronto. So this is where it becomes very powerful and it relates to today's age. The Blackburns were successful at establishing Toronto's first taxi company.
Wow. No, that's no small accomplishment in the city of Toronto. I know the landscape has changed in terms of how people get around, but that is quite something. All right, and so let's timeline the journey here starting in 1831 for us, please.
Yes. So regardless of their achievements, I mean, the Blackburns still faced racism like anyone else, right? Let's go back in their history. So 1831, Thornton Blackburn and his wife, Lucy, escaped from Kentucky to Detroit, Michigan, but were recaptured and arrested 2 years after. In 1833, their arrest prompted Detroit's first racial protest in history, labeled the Blackburn Riots. The Blackburns successfully escaped slavery in the U.S., crossing the Detroit River to freedom in Canada. In 1837, after years of Thornton Blackburn walking the muddy streets of Toronto to his job as a waiter at Osgood Hall, the couple saw a need for a taxi service. The Blackburns started Toronto's first taxi service on King Street in Toronto, and it was a yellow and red wooden four-seater and the first cab built in Upper Canada. Their taxi company became very popular in Toronto. In 1838, the Blackburns invested in land ownership, which led to them building multiple rental houses, including their own in Toronto, where they lived a financially secured life. Some of their tenants included Black people who escaped slavery from the U.S. and newcomers. The Blackburns provided them with a safe and affordable housing environment. In 1888, a newspaper interview with Thornton Blackburn in the Toronto Telegram headlined, "The First Cab in the City." In 1890, at the age of 76, Thornton Blackburn died in Toronto. And 5 years after, in 1895, Lucy Blackburn died. And they did not have children. So a lot of the wealth that they've acquired over the years really went back to building the city.
So how did their contribution shape Canada here? It blows my mind that the first taxi in Toronto goes back to 1837. It doesn't surprise me at all that it wasn't really started from a financial business angle. It was kind of out of necessity.
Yes, and that's what's powerful about it. You're talking about people who were extremely strong enough to take risk and escape slavery in the U.S. and came here and worked very hard, average folk, to build a successful business. And it was a risk back then because, as we know, Canada had a history where if Blacks acquired certain wealth or built communities, they were burnt down by racists who felt they didn't deserve anything good, right? The Blackburns donated a significant amount of their wealth into building their communities in Canada, all while fighting for equal rights and justice for Black Canadians. They also, I would say, for anyone who owns a business, who owns a taxi service, who drives a taxi, who takes the Uber, who drives an Uber, I would recommend you really learn about Thornton and Lucy Blackburns because they're the founders of this business. They represent everything from strength to entrepreneurship, and were very successful Black Canadians who introduced this mode of transportation to Toronto, which we enjoy today.
No doubt. Yolanda, great stuff. Go to ytmarshall.com for more information. Again, Yolanda will be joining us every week during Black History Month to enlighten us on some of the more significant stories that you may not know about. Yolanda, great stuff. Again, have a great weekend. We'll see you next week. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Take care.